Scott Matlock, underrated recruit, has built himself into one of the best defensive players in the Mountain West.
What would you do if you couldn't fail? Would you see every setback as a catalyst to keep going? This is the innovator's mindset, because innovation demands daring. It's finding thousands of ways that don't work, and the one that changes everything. It's when your unrelenting spirit sees the world's needs and says, I will create something better. So, what will you do? Will you let your genius run wild? Give yourself the space to be great? Set your sights on something even bigger, because we know changing the world doesn't happen by chance. It comes out of the blue.
Since you guys have been in here, some things have changed. We've updated this place to be in its final form. New cabinets, new counters, all sorts of new stuff in here. This has turned into a place that wouldn't look out of place at an SEC or Big Ten football facility, and Dairy West has allowed us to have it here. We've taken a holistic approach to our player nutrition, and we're really thankful that Dairy West has made sure that our fueling station is the best in college esports and really at industry standard for any college athletic department.
My friends know me as Derek, but I'm also Master Sergeant Raxter. This is my life in the Air National Guard.
Now earn up to 4 times the rewards with the ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card. It's the credit card from the credit union you love.
How's it look so far?
Right in my house.
Comfortable?
Yes.
Times and places all in who you share them with. Joy,
I got in.
who you share it with.
This is a great use of your home equity.
Who you share it with.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention please. About to start the show, better take your seats. It's time to let the curtain rise. We're gonna shake the room, we're gonna honor.
Now earn up to 4 times the rewards with the ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card. It's the credit card from the credit union you love.
Scott Matlock.
It's week 5 of the PEC spring season as we get ready for another night of action with Overwatch. We're pushing past the midseason into the final 3 games before playoffs, so every win matters in the battle for playoff seeding at the top of the pack has never been so heated. Tonight's matchup, our Boise State Broncos will face off the Minnesota team that is clawing to climb in the standing. It's Broncos versus the Golden Gophers here at PEC Spring Overwatch. For the casting desk, my name is Eric Desrox-Beltran, and I'm joined by a man who is the master of the sacred art of the pun. It is Bryce Jensen. And Bryce, first questions first, Golden Gophers. They've beaten Nebraska twice. They've beaten Baylor back in the fall. Do you think they have a chance to upset our Broncos?
Do you want the honest answer, or do you want an optimistic one?
I want honestly optimistic, maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, okay. I think I can work with that one. I honestly think that the Golden Gophers have quite the mound to climb. I mean, they're pretty good at digging down. They're pretty good at digging tunnels. But, Gophers aren't the best at climbing mountains, and the Broncos are quite the mountain to climb here tonight. They are currently sitting at 8-3 in the standings, only topped out by the Ohio State University, tied up with Utah State. So I think that in order for them to win, it is going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of showing what they've done a lot through the semester. However, with the Broncos being at almost full power, we unfortunately do not have Maxwell with us tonight. It is going to be incredibly hard for the Gophers to take out the win tonight.
Yeah, I very much feel that one. And also, this is one of the last matches before we get into the final stretch where you're going to have these 2 teams that are in the top 4 in both Syracuse and Ohio State. So the Broncos, I still want them to take this match as seriously as possible, view them as contenders. Because you got to stay warmed up for what is ahead. But before we get into the action today, hey audience, I got a question for you. Do you enjoy Boise State Overwatch? You want more? Obviously you answered yes, so let me direct you to the Boise State Overwatch social media pages. Go ahead and scan the QR codes or go to Boise State OW on X and Instagram. You'll get updates, schedules, results, and even fun content from the team. Give us a follow, show Broncos your support. That's Boise State OW on X and Instagram. And as we get geared up for today, let's have a talk about last week, a 3-0 victory against the Jayhawks.
Yeah, something that really stood out last week, especially about the Kansas gameplay, was the ability to isolate Strider and really focus him down. I was watching last week. I wasn't the one to cast it, but it's always fun to watch these Broncos play. They were really good at taking Strider down, but couldn't really follow up on the rest of the team. Sure, they'd win the team fight, but they could not really pull out and win the war, especially with people like Clear on characters like Vendetta being able to isolate targets and really just take them down. Maxwell also gave Boise State a lot of control of the field, especially in Game 1 on Soldier 76. Kansas fought back well, but could never really manage to take the game off of Boise State. Ultimately, 3-0 strong victory for the Broncos.
Yeah, I really like the form that we got out of the
Broncos.
Broncos.
To keep the momentum
going forward. They're fighting like they mean it, and they're on victory's door.
Ooh, and Kansas wants to avoid this at all costs. Seeing potential going to, Clear being low, having to back off, create a little bit of extra space. Broncos are still holding. Strider going for the ultimate, creating a space with a knockout. 3, I think, for Maxwell there at the end.
Yeah.
And the Broncos knock this out here. Boise State taking the...
Yeah, we had to show off Maxwell right there with that 3 back-to-back kills at the very end. But yeah, even with some of the preparations that the Jayhawks had, still couldn't take down the Broncos as we made adjustments of our own and came out victorious in the 3-0. With that, it sets the standings for this oncoming week. Ohio State will hold first place. They have more late-season games to play, which shows you the difference in games played right there. Matching them to win second place, Boise State. Utah proving to be competitive in their own right, tying with Boise State. And Syracuse will close out that top 4. Now let's talk about the schedule coming up for this week. Utah looks to defend their contention for second place against Syracuse. Nebraska fighting for their first win of the season against the powerful Ohio State. Baylor making a bid to climb, but they'll be facing the Jayhawks, who are looking to hold ground. And of course, the featured matchup you see at the very top there, it's the Golden Gophers versus the Broncos.
And what a featured match indeed. The last time these guys played was very early on in last semester, and these guys are going to be coming right out the gate at them. We got Jonathan Foraker, Cannon Miller, Carter Jones, Will Hess, Jenny Cummins, Amanda Bailey, Mark Thana, and of course our very own Doc Haskell. I outpaced our slider there, but they're all there, you see. I got them all.
No game.
I know ball.
Well, maybe
not as well as Strider.
I
don't know ball that well.
Well, we'll take a look at the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Alex Ferguel, Jacob Bruhl, Rafael Rios, Reed Smith, and Victor Hofstetter to make out their squad, make out their team as they try and punch upward at our Broncos. It's definitely going to be a tough task for them, our Broncos. They know success, they know victory. You know what they also know?
Doc's keys to the game. And in Overwatch, those keys to the game are win fights before objectives, understand your comp or play style, win 1v1s, and take fights in unexpected places. All of this, of course, brought to you by our sponsors at Blue Ribbon Painting.
Blue Ribbon Painting, over 90 years of combined experience, they are proud to be Boise's go-to team of local multi-generational painters who know how to level up your home. Visit blueribbonpainting.net. And I do want to double back to one of the points in Doc's keys to the game. You take these unexpected angles, right? I feel like what we saw out of both Strider and Clear last week against the Jayhawks was a brilliant example of that. Vendetta Wrecking Ball combo, so deadly to see on the field, especially when you can, follow through with the Wrecking Ball. There's not that many characters that can actually follow with the Wrecking Ball and still be deadly at the same time. Those two as a 1-2 punch on high flank angles, that is so hard to have to deal with.
Yeah, Vendetta really kind of just taking the place of Tracer. Tracer used to be the big go-to with dive. You'd see Tracer run with Winston, Diva, pretty much anybody who wants to get into the backline, and especially with Wrecking Ball, due to their not only Tracer's high survivability, but also her ability to just move. She can get to just about anywhere, do a lot of damage, and Vendetta is really starting to take that role. I got to talk with a few of the players as Vendetta released, and a big thing that they brought up was that Vendetta is one of those characters that you can't really nerf and make her less good. I mean, you can, but that kind of makes her unviable. But really what ends up happening is the better that players get with the character, the better the character will be, just like Wrecking Ball. With those two characters having similar skill ceilings, being very, very high up there, and floors also being very, very high up there to be effective, it really creates a dynamic of these two characters are incredibly hard to deal with. We don't know how to play them ourselves. How are we going to play into them? Do we play into them right? And a lot of teams still struggle with that, and Ball's been in the game since it released in 2016.
Yeah, I want to reflect a little bit on some of the conversations I had with the Overwatch players, especially Strider, when talking about what Wrecking Ball does for a squad. You don't have a traditional front line that's right there, like some of the other tanks, Reinhardt, for example, that are just holding the ground for you. They tend to just run off in other places, and you have to do a different type of play style for that. And that's why I like Clear being on Vendetta. You mentioned the high skill ceiling. There's a lot of skill expression that you get out of Vendetta, but it allows these angles that are so hard to read, you don't know where they're going to come from. It complements the Wrecking Ball so well, and it plays towards this play style that our Broncos have developed as we've gone on in the PEC season.
Also, a really big thing that people talk about when you're playing into Wrecking Ball is ignore the ball. Just go on his team. However, you can't ignore the ball and Vendetta. You can ignore one or the other, but you can't afford to ignore both. And that's really where the strength of this composition really starts to shine. And it'll be really interesting to see how they incorporate the 5 new characters coming to Overwatch next week. They are available in-game now, but with the 2-week competitive grace period, we are not going to be seeing these new characters until next week. So, same old for this week, but next week, you have to see a little bit of Jetpack Cat, a little bit of the meow 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 meow.
I'm excited for that one.
Yes,
yeah.
And allegedly, Jenny's a pretty good Jetpack Cat, from what I've heard. Pretty good Jetpack Cat.
To update our audience, as Bryce just said, those characters are not going to be out until next week, but we still have the changes that came with the patch that are effective right now. So the game does feel a little bit different for our players. Again, it was a major patch that came through that's changing a lot when it comes to Overwatch, so much so that we're taking out the 2 from Overwatch and just keeping it as Overwatch.
You know what?
But adaptions have been shown against the Jayhawks.
I think that's a good thing. In fact, I would argue that they shouldn't have put the 2 in earlier this, or not this year, I don't know why I want to say this year so bad, but earlier in 2021, I think they should have put it in now, because the game really does feel really different. You have a lot more emphasis on both 5v5 and 6v6. Almost every character has a set of perks that is unique to their playstyle. Like, certain tanks now have a defensive perk that reduces damage from critical hits and knockback, while others deal more damage while in the air. It is an incredible rebalance of a lot of these characters, and really expands upon the passive system that Overwatch really tried, but couldn't quite get right in the first 1 perk for all role for everybody in the role. Because, I mean, Genji was incredibly good at the start of Overwatch 2 because of that damage and reload speed increase that came with getting kills that happened in the beginning. But that's gone now. It's actually been given to a few other people outside of Genji. I think Soldier has it now, Freya has it, and I think Junkrat has it as well. I know a few others have it, but that's besides the point.
But when you get major patches like this, the name of the game is adaptation. Oftentimes, it's not just Overwatch. There's plenty of other games where you get patch-to-patch basis where a team can be good on one patch and then fall off on another. Sometimes if you misread what's going on, what's going to be strong, and what's kind of falling off, or sometimes you think this character is going to be strong because of this buff and ends up not being the case, it could really cost you. I think the match that we had against the Jayhawks showed that Boise State, they have good reads on what's going on in this meta.
And it looks like we've got picks and bans coming in. We don't get to pick the map on map 1. That'll be Lijiang Tower for this week. That's going to be a constant throughout all Overwatch games, but the bans are still player chosen, and it looks like Doomfist and Vendetta are going to be sitting on the bench this time around.
Yeah, they very much know. No Vendetta allowed.
No Vendetta.
Watch the tape.
Only good vibes. There's no Vendettas. We have no enemies. No Vendetta. But no Doomfist it's an interesting ban, but I can sort of understand it, especially for Gardens having so much open space for you to just punch people into. Doomfist actually got a lot of love in this update. I feel like a lot of the dive tanks really got a lot stronger after the update, after the passives came out. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more dive. Dive is going to be a lot more prevalent, but that also means our very own Broncos are going to have a heyday in this new patch as we move in to Game 1. Boise State versus Minnesota. What a game to watch.
Again, this is going to be very tough for the Golden Gophers. Boise State has shown that they're an incredibly powerful team. They've owned a lot of this PEC with some slip-ups coming here and there. There has been some areas to improve, definitely, but I think that's what's good about having a regular season, being able to do a lot of this repetition both in the fall and spring. This is a double round robin, of course. The first round is fall, second round being spring. This allows you to adapt, this allows you to learn, and from what I've been seeing from the Broncos lately, the vibes have been more on the upside, and we've been seeing more and more clean play that shows they have thoughts towards what their win condition is, and they execute towards it every time. And now, going against Minnesota, they'll have to keep demonstrating that because, again, the waves are only going to get rougher for the last 2 weeks of EC.
Yeah, and going forward, Boise State isn't going to be playing with Maxwell today. They're actually going to be bringing in one of their subs, Slick Rhodes. The guy who's normally on the desk will be on the game tonight as Strider going in for the initial play, pressuring out the Alari pylon. Alari got a lot of buffs in this early season, but it's still not going to stop Clear from absolutely running it down as what's-his-name is going to have to recall to try and get away.
I mean, Rafa getting taken out that early from Clear, just taking that flank angle, like, what do you really do about it, man? And what do you do about Clear, who's ripping apart the Golden Gophers bit by bit? This is definitely a big hill for Minnesota to have to get through. We kind of talked about it in the show leading up to this, and you're clearly seeing why now as the Broncos keep punching forward.
Yeah, it looks like Minnesota really trying to push up and get somewhere to start pressuring out the support players. They actually managed to get BPO in, especially with Kiriko Swift stepping away, but the Suzu being used is going to make them a really hard target to clear, and look at who else but Clear to take him out. Still putting a lot of pressure on the Zarya, getting a lot of charge off of that bubble. Clear does have to be careful as that can still pierce the deflect, but it does not matter with all that damage coming through. Boise State just running them over, and of course, when you're talking about running people over, you gotta mention Strider just bowling over them. This Rafa, not the first to die this time, but going to be the last.
This is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. Clear looks clean on this Genji. He's not stopping anytime soon. Already going to the 50% mark on this point as the Broncos continue to stampede forward and deal with the Golden Gophers. Now the next attack being posed by the Golden Gophers as they set up to try and push for the point.
They are all locked in, as you can see with the face cams down there. I mean, Strider doesn't even have his headphones on. He's that locked in. He can just sense it. BP0 once again trying to pressure the point, but nobody there to support him is going to get forced by the Wrecking Ball. Eric goes his team, but Suzu has to be used in order to keep him up. In comes the Dragon Blade. Both supports left unattended as BP0 is going to be the first to go. Rafa goes down as well. No more Dragon Blade, but Hex is going to be the one to finish it out this time. Clear just running circles around him.
This is pure, unadulterated violence that's coming out of the Broncos right now, especially Clear. Utilizing that ultimate, it's a terrifying thing when you hear Genji scream that out loud and start swiping away with his blade. Now the flank angle coming out from Strider as he is completely oriented. The Golden Gophers pushes them into a corner and slaps them down. Clear taking out Rafa, all the meanwhile now trying to chase out the rest of the Stranglers. It's overtime. A last desperate coming out as Strider will just knock him off the map and say bye-bye.
Yeah, your iframes mean nothing to the cold hard ground, Kiriko. Get that Suzu out of here as you plummet to your demise. And I feel like this map just really went to show Boise State's dominance in this matchup. I mean, they were able to deal with they weren't even really able to deal with one threat at a time. I think the only KO came from Daydream in that final fight when everybody piled on. But even then, they were still not able to quite get there in time. You still had the sound barrier from Hex to use. You had Overclock to use from Slick Roads. I don't think Clear's Dragon Blade was quite there, but the mines really came in handy from Strider. Just the ultimate bank that hadn't been used up until that point really pushed them over the edge as we are getting right into it. Once again, is Strider going to find one on D.Va? No, he got it! He got it on D.Va! You don't see that every day. You have a jetpack. Use it. BP0.
Away with it, Bryce.
More like BP0 boost as he's just not able to fly away. Oh, man.
This is bullying. This is a form of bullying. Strider, I'm watching out for you, man. We got to have a conversation. Now capturing the points. Going to be the Boise State Broncos. Going to surround it right now.
He got him again!
Down goes BPO on the D.Va. This keeps happening, Bryce.
No! That is 2 environmental deaths on a character that can fly on a 2-second cooldown. Oh, Vykovs is going to find Daydream, but at this point, your tank's been knocked off the map 3 times.
Oh, he's going for more.
Yeah, he's going for more, 100%. I think it's time to break out the Roadhog, see if you can get a 4.
At this point, get the whole team to go for environmental kills.
Yeah, I mean, you got Slick Roads on the Sojourn, just trying to poke and prod them out. You got Clear on the fire this time around. Vykovs taking quite a bit of damage, but no one really been able to take him out. But what's his name goes down to 1. Strider's going to put the dive on him. That's going to take him down. Vykovs going to deflect, make sure Clear can keep himself up. But taking the perk that transfers a lot of his health to shields, it's going to make sure he stays a lot more independent moving forward. But even still, he's going to have to be careful with what's his name on the Cassidy.
Strider does have Minefield available. No one else really geared up for ultimates. Same can be said for Minnesota, who are itching to try and get onto this point, but I'll find their way in.
Wait, he got BP again!
So kills back to back. Didn't just get BP,
he's off
out Rafa too.
He's off the map again. Is he going for 5?
No
he's going for 5. He doesn't. Okay, he had the boost this time. No, he's off the map again. That is my brother. You are playing D.Va. You can fly.
All right.
Okay, I can't take this serious.
We're broken. I'm calling that the unbottled play of the game right now because so many environmental kills that we've gotten out of Strider. This is presented by local dairy farm families. Perform, refuel, recover, repeat. Visit unbottled.com to learn more. Environmental deaths across the board. There ain't no milk down there, so they ain't got no power from Unbottled like we do. As Clear now coming in for the angle, has the ultimate. Well used it. Point blank. Taken out at the last second. Overtime being held by Minnesota.
Okay, you got to hand it to Veridity there. That was pretty clean. I got to hand it to him. But is that okay, it's not another environmental kill. BP, you got to figure it out. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if your boosters are not quite working there, but you got to figure out how to stop getting into those situations. But Strider already causing problems in the backline. Veridity getting taken down low. What's his name? Getting completely focused out. His support's not looking at him, and Clear's going to take him down. Veridity gets taken down low as well, but isn't quite going to go down. Out comes the Dragon Blade from Vykovs. Going to be assisted by the Captive Sun, going for Clear. The solo ult is crazy, but it's still not enough to take him down. Strider looking to do something in the backline as the Diva Bomb comes through. It's not going to hit anybody, but it is going to force a lot of people off the point. Vykovs going down 2. 5-player kill streak from Strider already over, looking to dive on the Cassidy. He's going to get a little help this time, but Minnesota is not going to be able to run it back. Boise State taking game 1.
What am I supposed to say? After that many environmental kills, are we going to get one for the play of the game from Strider? Because this guy was just pushing them off like this was a game of Smash Bros.
So, I would like to point it out. BP0, man.
There it is.
He died less times on a character with no mobility than a character with a 2-second cooldown on a boost. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. Absolute cinema.
This game is brought to you by Unbottled. Local dairy farm families present this. They help us out. They keep us fueled. Perform, refuel, recover, repeat. Visit unbottled.com.
More importantly, they keep us on the map.
Yeah.
Someone get that boy some milk.
I can't. I mean, they gave him the warm milk, put him to sleep at the very least there, but... Jeez.
Man, is that... okay, I knew that with all the perk reshuffling, tanks actually lost quite a bit of knockback resistance. When Overwatch 2...
Smiling.
Yeah, in the last patch, all tanks had a knockback resistance.
Is he watching back his own play?
I think so. All tanks had a somewhat of a knockback resistance. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to be noticeable. It's why playing Lucio felt so bad on release, because you'd try to knock people into holes and it would be like, why isn't the tank moving? But it's because they have quite a bit of knockback resistance.
Yeah.
Now with the perk reshuffle, certain tanks still have that knockback resistance. I'd like to point out Zarya and Rein, both of them having quite large knockback resistances still. Characters like D.Va and Wrecking Ball actually lost that resistance in favor of other passives that they currently use. However, usually that is compensated by the fact of having a lot of movement. D.Va has a lot of
movement.
If I'm being honest, I think that the idea was right out of the Golden Gophers. I'm gonna put it out there. I think their composition was all right to counter what Boise State really had, like, going for them. The issue is that they took fights really, really spread out. You had Clear on one angle, you had Strider on another, and it's going back to what you were talking about, taking fights from 2 different angles, getting that pincer on, and really just squeezing that pressure up until they couldn't really handle it anymore. Yeah. It was a really big thing that we saw throughout the entire game, especially on the Pharah and the second map. And sure, what's-his-name was playing a really good Cassidy. He just couldn't focus on 2 things at once. Also, having your tank dive off the map at every opportunity probably didn't help, but that's neither here nor there.
We need like a record of environmental.
Let me just write it down.
No, we need it throughout the entirety of the PEC, because I believe it was just set with how many we got. It wasn't just we hyped up Strider a lot for the Wrecking Ball and knocking off BPO so many multiple times, but you also had Clear there who was knocking people off at the same time.
That's true.
That was insane.
Strider got 4,
it's the most
and
I've
Clear got 1 as well.
Overwatch game.
I think the only other person to die to an environmental was Rafa on the Iari, which is understandable. Sunburst, her movement ability, is on a fairly long cooldown, and it is a fairly good ability to shake dive. So, you know what? I can forgive Rafa going off the map. I can't forgive D.Va going off the map in every single team fight in the
like 3 times?
4 times.
4 times.
Because it happened... It happened. Okay, the first time it happened was first fight to take the point, gets knocked off. You know what? I can understand that. We're going into it. It catches you by surprise.
Yeah.
Second time, Clear gets him with the concussion grenade. D.Va has a defensive matrix that can eat the concussion grenade. None of it was used. You know what? I can even forgive that one. I can forgive it. Concussion grenade, it can come from a lot of places. I mean, it doesn't have a big sound queue, and far as a fairly small target, and everyone knows Overwatch players don't look up. But the other 3 times, I can't forgive. But moving into King's Row, there's no holes until 3rd point, so hopefully we don't see BP0 throwing himself off the map at every opportunity. King's Row with a Lucio and Zarya ban.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me
Thrice.
times. Shame on you again, because now you're just taking advantage of me. You know?
Well, what if I fool you force?
Oh, shame back on me. I should know better by that.
Okay, but then if it's fives, then
it's back to you once again.
That would make sense.
It kind of bounces back and forth the longest time. But yeah, Kings Row, and we saw the bans. I know one of the tank bans was Zarya there, but this does leave open that deadly combo that we saw versus the Jayhawks, where they pulled out both the Wrecking Ball and the Vendetta. So those being on the table, Boise State, that's their ball game.
Yeah, Vendetta was already used as a ban early on, and I'm not 100% sure that was the correct decision, especially with some of the upcoming maps favoring that character a lot more than something like Ilios would. In fact, or not Ilios, Lijiang Tower. King's Row can be really effective for characters like Vendetta and Ball, just because, I mean, you can see it in the clip right now. You have a lot of high ground space that you can maneuver. You got a lot of space that you can really just get in and get out and hide from people. And you can take a lot of angles that people wouldn't expect. And I feel like not having the benefit of a Vendetta or having the benefit of a Vendetta on this map is huge. And that maybe that ban should have come a little bit later.
He's got the headphones on this time.
That's
He's
true.
locked in.
He's locked in. Yeah. You didn't need him last time. he could still hear Diva. As she fell from the map.
You need the silence when you go bowling, but here we go. On attack side, Strider already going deep, and this is where it's really hard to track where the ball's going. You can see him already right behind one of the supports. Doesn't quite drop down at the right angle, though, so he'll have to work his way back up.
Thing is, even with that miss, he's still drawing a lot of attention away from the rest of his team. Slick Rhodes actually able to do quite a bit of damage to Vikos before having to back off. Big damage onto what's-his-name as Lyric's going to find the kill. Vikos trying to be a little sneaky, sneaking through Hotel, but isn't quite going to find it. But as you can see, Clear starting to dive a little bit more as Rafa meets the edge of a sword this time instead of the bottom of a pit. BP0 goes down as well with the loss of his two supports, and Minnesota are going to have to back off, as it looks like Boise State are going to take this first point without very much resistance.
Yeah, this was a very quick offensive coming out from Boise State. You can see how many different angles the Broncos are able to play from, and it bullies Golden Gophers from even having a chance of contesting back. Now the payload, this is where we start to see things get a little bit wild for Boise State, given all these high angles you can take as he pushes payload forward. Filtrating out will Lyric, looks to fight it out. BPO having to back off all at the same time, but here comes Strider.
Yeah, Strider with a pile drive in isn't quite going to find much. He got a lot of people low. However, that Kiriko in the back, or the Wuyang in the back line is able to do a lot more healing than what you might expect, especially with a break to back him up. Strider with another dive in isn't quite going to find much. He's able to get what's-his-name low and actually going to be cleaned up by Clear. However, he's going to have to back out. Both of them getting taken down incredibly low, but not low enough for Slick Rhodes to slide on in and just chunk them down. Clear, once again, swinging in for his day one as Strider is able to get away. Clear getting taken down incredibly low, is going to go down in the end because of Veridity, but Slick Rhodes still just pushing that cart. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing there. Well, I mean, once you get kind of isolated and in a little bit too deep, that focus fire comes on you, it's very quick that you can take down a Vendetta. That's that skill ceiling we were talking about, but ultimates are getting popped as we push forward. Road has on the sword.
Two
back-to-back kills coming out from Slick Rose as he's going to put on his own highlight reel in this game number 2.
Yeah, and looks like looking for a third. Veridity's going to go down. Hex stole the kill. Come on, man. As BP0 is going to get bullied into a corner and staggered, huge stagger out of Boise State.
That's a really fast push.
That is an incredibly quick push. Just because they were able to keep somebody on the point the entire time as Clear and Strider were able to push him back. You have Slick Rhodes playing in that midfield part, able to really zone out a lot of players. It's able to keep what's-his-name sort of at check, not allowing him to really take those angles that you'd like to see an Ashe on. But even so, Clear is still able to pressure out this top part and just not let anybody really get any sort of momentum.
You can see the ultimate is available now for Clear. It's not the easiest ultimate to really pop out because it's very telegraphed when you do try and set it up. So usually you need the interference of combat, and you're getting a little bit of that right now as Slick Rhodes going to get knocked back quite a bit, staying alive nonetheless. Strider under pressure falls to what's-his-name.
Yeah, going to take the coach gun straight into the wall. Hex is not quite able to do much with the Captain Sun, I say that, but then Rafa is just going to explode. Unfortunately, the Dragon Blade gets pulled out right onto Slick Rhodes, but the solo won't be enough to stop the Boise State push. Actually, no, it might be, as BP0 is going to find Lyric, but Hex taking one more for the team as what's-his-name goes down. Strider and Clear once again diving in as Veridity is going to fall. Nobody's on the cart. It's not going to be pushing, but Clear is still in a good spot to back off. Not quite getting chunked down yet.
See right now, ultimate still available for Slick Roads. Unit Rush will be up soon, so will the Minefield for Boise State. These are going to be big tools for this next big push to close out this game. Trying to fight back right now. The Golden Gophers BPO pops his. Oh, critically low. Slick Roads, Lyric going to get back-to-back kills, and they will go to work and eviscerate the Gophers to end out this first round.
You know, it's all about slicing and dicing. And I mean, you got Kiriko with the knives, you got Clear with the big old sword. I'm not quite sure what the Hamster has, or I'm not quite sure what the other three have, but or that Sharp anyway. But I'm sure they got a knife somewhere in their kit. They're just slicing and dicing, cutting right through the defense. I will say I like the play out of Minnesota to play the Bob, play what's his name, get a little bit of presence onto the cart. And Rafa tried with the with his ultimate with the waves, just not able to save out his teammates, and that's really where the consequences of playing Wu Yang over Lucio really come in. Sure, you have an ultimate that can save one person potentially, whereas with Lucio you can save just about everybody. And I mean, that knockback can come in handy, especially on a character like Wrecking Ball. Get into the team, knock them all over. It just makes the bowling a little bit easier. However, when your entire team collapses because no one's turning around to look at the, or not really the Wrecking Ball, but turning around to look at the Vendetta, it really makes it hard to get that push going.
Now the Golden Gophers going to do their best to figure out an attack against Boise State. And with how fast Boise was able to push in that first round, it's going to be a battle for Minnesota to kind of try and find their angle into this.
It's the pig.
They're still going to give their best attempt, though, as they will change things up quite a bit walking forward into this. Now instead going to swap right back over to Diva. Diva on that front line. Now here comes the first push. They don't spot Strider, who's over in the top and will slam on down. Looking to mess with Vikos and the entirety of this backline. It separates the team from even being able to stay together. Pressure applied by Strider, but he'll be able to back on out in no time.
Oh, but what's his name? Going to get caught in the crossfire, and that's really where that distraction comes into handy. Just keeping your supports away from the people who might need it most is really the strength of this character, and Strider's able to put on a showing right there. BP0 is able to get back around, able to help out the rest of his team, but unfortunately, what's his name is going to be... No one will remember what his name was because he went down. Clear on the Widowmaker, a pick you don't typically see on defense too much, especially into a player that plays Diva as much as BP0. However, I do understand the pick. Rafa going to get taken down fairly low, but the defensive matrix is going to keep Clear from taking a good shot. In comes Viscous, or Vykovs, trying to keep himself out, but what's his name? Deep in enemy territory in the middle of the entire Boise State line. Still going to stay alive. I don't know how, but what's his name really just showing off what he can do.
That was a hell of a chase on to Clear. They eventually do take him out. Minnesota starting to find a little bit of ground going into their favor. Strider still staying up. Finally, Slick Road's going to fall, but not before taking out Veridity. Strider able to use that minefield, get some work done here, but now Minnesota, they need to capture the point, and even with some of the kills they were able to get, they still haven't pushed in for the point.
Also, a huge stagger onto BP0 is really going to put a hamper on how quickly they can push forward. Sure, they're going to push forward a little bit now that Strider has been forced out of the equation, but taking out Clear that early on is a huge boon, and out comes both the Kitsune Rushes on the point, going to take out Slick Roads. That defensive matrix was just enough to keep him from getting healed as Vykovs going to find him, is going to find yet another in Lyric. Hex going down as well to BP0, and that might just force Boise State off as Clear and Vykovs engaged in an epic duel. That BP0, he ruined the 1v1, man. What are you doing?
We're trying to figure out who the real Genji was, but it doesn't count. He got the interference being ran like that, but point going to be captured. Minnesota be able to claim it as they try and sort themselves for the next attack. BPO is already jumping in, going forward. Lyric having to play on the defensive end as he looks to back up Slick Roads over in this corridor. Again, the hamster ball now coming through. looking to reap havoc and keep this Minnesota team constantly disoriented. See, has already separated out. Minefield be available as well. Strider wants to put it to put more havoc up on there. D.Va is going to be broken out from the mech. Pressure now being applied out of Strider. Takes him out without issue. Strider putting in the work. Still has that minefield on top of it. So Minnesota, their first initial push, now going backwards as Boise pushes in.
Yeah, Veridity did manage to find one in the hectic fight. Lyric will have gone down, but Clear playing a little bit of Mystery Heroes tonight. I mean, he was on the Widowmaker, he played Tracer for a play, and then he got on the Genji, and you know what? Now I think he's going to stick with the Vendetta. The clear Vendetta. I'm not sure who his Vendetta is with, but I know who Strider's might be. It's with the payload. He hates that payload so much, he's going to drop 2 minefields on it, thanks to the major perk, being able to put down 2 sets of mines. Viscos is going to have to back off, but that also means Veridity is right there with him after using the Swift Step. And that's going to mean 1 less support for the rest of the team, and unfortunately for what's-his-name,
here we go.
Support too little. Rafa going down as well. Clear looking to dive on in from the top ropes, is going to find not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but a lot of pressure getting put on, especially to BP0, as everyone, including Boise State, is forced to back out just a little more.
Yeah, one of those high priority targets is Vikos. Taking him out. That Genji can't run interference on the back line, which that's been one of the main power points coming out from Minnesota. We saw earlier when Clear was playing that Widowmaker, that is who was chasing him alongside BPO.
Ooh.
So a nice pick again.
Yeah,
taking
nice
that Genji
pick
out, not going to be on the map.
Also taking out that Dragon Blade that is currently in rotation. Everyone on the Minnesota line, barring the D.Va, has an ult to use. Taking one out might just be the difference between winning and losing, as Rafa almost goes down. What a play, and no, he's dead! Just seconds away. He could breathe on his spawn door, but just couldn't quite get there. Lyric going to use Kitsune Rush right before going down might just be enough to keep the Boise State in the fight, but they still have a minute 30 to hold it, and it doesn't look like they're letting up their grip anytime soon. I would also like to point out, do you see the bunny hop on the Vendetta out of Clear? Hopping around.
But the Golden Gophers still have a chance to push forward again. You were talking about the ultimates. Kitsune Rush, Deadeye as well to try and make some room alongside the Dragon Blade. But, ooh, Vikos already goes down, so he can't even use it. Kitsune Rush has been dropped by Minnesota. Boise State fighting tooth and nail, already losing a major DPS. Minefield's going to go down, looking to fight this through, taking out the D.Va. D.Va gets bounced around like a volleyball. BPO is slain, and the Broncos stampede right through the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, taking out the Genji early might just be what won them that fight. I mean, Kitsune Rush is already an incredible ability, but pairing it with Dragon Blade, that's a recipe for disaster if you're on the other team. Taking him down and forcing the rest of Minnesota to use ults to compensate is what you want to do. Deadeye and Coalescence are good in the right circumstance, but they're nowhere near as good in a pinch. Clear going to use Vendetta ult, looking to capture the team, isn't quite going to find it. They're able to route it out, but Clear's still alive to tell the tale.
Yeah, Clear going to survive and maneuver back around, taking to different angles. So going to be a little bit low on health, but the A-OK nonetheless.
Here it comes.
Blade's going to use Vikos, going to try and use everything he can to save this
game.
Oh no! But Slick Roads will put him in the grave. Hex follows through, grabs Serenity and what's his name. And you can feel Minnesota crumbling as we go into overtime. Only one remains as BPO fights tooth and nail for a last stand, but he can stand no more. Boise State will stop him.
I want to give huge props to Hex for that final fight, taking 3 of the 5 elims, and only one, I think only one of which was actually with the Captive Sun. The rest of it was just shooting around. Hex the Ilari player. I mean, I know we've heard that he is the #1 Lifeweaver player, but maybe he's also the #1 ERE player as well. But of course, play the game.
That's where the
Going
Deadeye
to Strider.
was. Yeah. That was Strider on the back end. This was when you wanted to see that big barrage of ultimates to come out for Minnesota. It was stopped so quickly by none other than Strider himself. Want to give thanks to ICCU for their continued support of Boise State Esports. Thanks to ICCU, Boise State Esports has won multiple national championships and piled up more than 1,500 wins. ICCU, looking after your daily balance. Visit ICCU.com. But what a performance coming out of the Broncos so far. Even though the Golden Gophers, hey, they had a decent shot where they were able to finally capture the point, they could not get that payload far.
You know what? if there's a bright side to any of this, BP0 didn't fall off the map this time.
Oh.
So it could always have been worse. He could have fallen off the map.
Why you got to hit him like that, right? Come on.
I will say, though, he played a lot better in this round, just as a tank. However, I got to give a lot of credit to Vendetta. I have been looking at the patch notes. I didn't know she did that much damage. Holy cow, that was like 3 swings to kill, and they just weren't able to keep the tank up. They weren't able to put on the same pressure that Boise State was really able to. And it's not very often you see the tank as a valid dive target, but we were seeing that a lot in this game.
For some of the initial push that came out, we did see kind of, as you were calling it, it was like hero roulette coming out from Clear, right? Yeah. And it was the moment when Clear was on the Widowmaker that I saw kind of the glimmers of hope coming out from Minnesota, because it shows they know who the high-value targets are by chasing down that Widowmaker. But the moment he ends up on the Vendetta, suddenly that's thrown on its side, and you can tell they have a hard time with their target selection against the Broncos.
Yeah, but we're going to be seeing a little bit something else out of the Broncos as Esperanza pulls up, push for map number 3, and of course the ceremonious Wrecking Ball ban on the push map. Everybody knows that Wrecking Ball is good on the push map, so that's why they ban him. But the Cassidy ban is going through as well. That might put a hamper on what's-his-name's ability to counter the Vendetta dive. However, I gotta point it out. Vendetta is a relatively new character. She's one of the newest. I mean, of course, there's 5 new heroes, but she was the newest before the new ones. And really, we haven't gotten to see her full potential up until now. She's one of those characters that requires an incredibly high skill ceiling to really get the feel. To get a feeling for it. It takes a lot of time and effort to really bring out her maximum potential. And now that we're starting to see that, people are really going to have to figure out a way to start countering her. We've seen it in a few games this season where the better Vendetta is what ends up winning fights, and I feel like that's really what's going to continue moving forward in the PEC.
So as we head into this game 3, I do want to talk about a few highlight players. Talk about Strider and Clear a lot. We don't see enough of Slick Rhodes, and I believe he's been doing a pretty solid performance so far. He is typically not really played that often. Usually we get to see him more once Mountain West games come along, but with Maxwell being out, that's one of the big players when it comes to kind of setting the field for a lot of what Boise State do. He fills in that role so well, so I'm happy to see what he's been able to do.
Yeah, putting up the pressure in those mid-range fights is really what you want a Sojourn to do, and it's what Maxwell tends to do a lot. And really, Slick Rhodes filling out those shoes really, really well. Like, you'd think he's got chains on his tires, because these Slick Rhodes aren't really affecting him too much.
There it is. There's the Bryce I know.
Yeah.
Well, game number 3.
It's taking me a while to find it, but it does look like Strider is going to be rolling out the Zarya for game number 3. Another Strider staple.
All right. At some point, I need you to talk about
the
Gophers seeing their shadow against the Broncos. I don't know if you can set that up for me later.
I don't know.
Get it there.
But I mean, it is a nighttime map. Maybe the light of the street post might make him a little scared. Take a little bit after Punk Schwani Phil. Send them back for 8 more weeks of winter. But Strider, he's looking to give his fans 8 more weeks of winning, bringing out the jungle Queen, something we don't really see a whole lot out of.
That might be your play of the game right there, just you saying that line. But.
Maybe.
Oh, here we go now.
They just all congregate onto what's-his-name on the Tracer, but all of them kind of disregard Strider, who's gone down really low, as he's able to be saved, but Slick Rhodes not so much. Strider has to come right back out with the scatter gun. Carnage coming through, not going to find much. He needs to build up that bleed if he wants to stay up in the fight, and that's exactly what he's doing. Out comes the commanding shout, not looking to give any pressure that he doesn't have to. Unfortunately, Carnage is not quite going to find the mark, as it is just going to be healed right up. Jungle Queen tends to struggle a little bit more into the Zarya pick, just because you're able to heal off that bleed damage with the bubbles, and we're seeing Zarya go right back with Strider. I thought Strider was on the Zarya to begin with, but no, it was just BP0. We're seeing a little bit of a mirror match come through now.
Well, not a bad start coming out from the Golden Gophers so far. It's still going to be tough to actually have to fight their way through the Broncos if they want to find a reverse sweep, but step 1 is trying to take this game. Still got a lot of time left on the clock, a lot of time for the Broncos to work, so we'll see if we can get 8 Broncos come back. I'm pretty sure that might just be the case given the caliber of this squad. Now Strider working around this flank. We get some chip damage in on this Zarya. Chasing through different sides that Strider has to focus on. Veridity's going to take down Clear all the meanwhile. Crucial pick coming in for the Golden Gophers. They almost make it towards that first checkpoint, Slick Rhodes has to back off.
Yeah, forcing everybody back. Strider's actually going to go down thanks to the pressure. BP0 really flexing his muscles on the Zarya right now. A lot of those long sight lines are really allowing him to get things done. As what's his name going to have to recall back out, but after using quite a few resources out of clear in order to do so. Forward spawn has been gained by the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and a lot of ults on the field for him as Boise State hasn't quite built up many of theirs yet. Daydream off of the Mercy onto the Kiriko this time around. Hex does have his ultimate to use in his pocket, as the Ray might not have to be used for this fight, as everybody is just sort of getting taken down. BP0 is actually going to kill himself with the bubble.
All right, clear. Back-to-back kills now coming in on this Vendetta. Looking to make it more, healing up quite well. So willing to take the challenge. Daydream stepping up against Rafa. At the same time, this will finally allow the Broncos to get a push going of their own.
Yeah, Hex just hanging around. He's on bot duty. But, I mean, with his space gun, he's able to shoot out healing from a longer distance. And, I mean, Kiriko can do something similar, but her auto lock-on only triggers from a certain distance. So it's better to have a character like Juno who just requires aim to get the healing to really get that done. However, with them contesting the point, Vykov's really looking to do something, but it's actually going to reflect the railgun. Out comes the Dragon Blade and the Wu Yang ult. Nothing is really going to save Slick Rhodes from that, but the rest of the team is just pushing up. Daydream going to take out Vykov's and BP0 under too much pressure. Hex is on the run for his life. Somebody help this man. No, never mind. I think it's actually, what's his name, who needs help, as the entirety of Boise State is going to crash down on him like a wave.
That was a great counterattack coming out from Boise State. Even with Vic jumping in, they were able to get the focus target on to Vic Haas and slow down this forward offensive coming out from Minnesota. The Golden Gophers, once they lost him, they lost a lot of chance to continue that fight. Broncos bounce back, and they look to hold their ground. They still got a ways they need to push against the Golden Gophers if they're going to win out this game, and it's not looking good when Daydream falls.
Oh, Veridity goes down. BP0 quick to follow. Boise State finding two. Honestly, Vendetta ult is incredibly strong, but it's not so often that you find a kill with it, as what's his name's going to stick Slick Rhodes. Man, call him Stick Rhodes. That's I think that's what what's his name was going for there. But
you're getting a boo for me on that one, but still going in.
That one was a little forced, I cannot lie. But you know what else is forced? Is barricade forward as Boise State is able to take the lead and the next team fight starts. Slick Rhodes does have overclock to use in his back pocket, but with the Kitsune rush coming through, Boise State looking to kite.
Yeah, backing up right now, Boise State. Working well for Minnesota. What's his name? Grabs Daydream. Clear's getting low at the same time, but Slick Rhodes takes out Vic Haas. Priority target on the ground allows Clear to open up alongside Strider. Get back-to-back kills. Ultimate available for Slick Rhodes all the meanwhile, but he doesn't need it.
There he goes.
He's just going to pop what's his name. That's a team kill, and the Broncos continue to push.
I gotta say, Minnesota has done a lot better job at just cascading on one player. Unfortunately for Slick Rhodes, I think he is the target of a lot of their aggression. Yeah. However, they take out one, but they can't really find a way to take out very many others. Strider, just sitting in the front line, is able to take a lot of pressure from BP0. In fact, almost going all the way up to full charge because of it. But with Zarya being squishy, sort of has to play corners, as what's his name is going to get sliced in half by Clear.
That's the tricky thing, man. Tracer is very squishy, and Vendetta does a lot of damage. Because takes out Slick Rhodes. Strider will follow it up. Tank for tank battle. Strider wins out ahead of that one. Clear comes in and dices Rafa up. Oh, Clear is not done. Takes out Vizhas as well. Big sword beats little sword, but finally Veridity will put a stop to the onslaught of Clear.
Daydream on 1 health is able to get out of there just barely, as BP0 on the Malga pick. Something you don't see a whole lot of, but you know what? It might be gas. It might be what he needs. Sometimes you just got to bring out the big man with the big miniguns.
You never know when the pocket pick.
Never know.
Be more successful there, but hey, at this point, Minnesota, they did buy themselves some time. Boise State getting very close to their objective right there, but now here we go. Another setup coming out from Boise State. They're going to start to push forward, going right over into Minnesota. Strider holding line, getting a lot of suppressing fire coming in through, holding ground. Ultimate gonna get popped by Clear as he'll take BBO's head.
Doesn't matter how strong your bubble is, that sword is just going to cut right through it. Slick Rhodes getting a little bit of revenge on Vykov, says, I am done with you diving me. I am the one who kills you. you are going to sit down. And Clear is giving that same mentality to the Kiriko too. BP0 goes down. That Zarya pick is really hard, just pushing in. Out comes the Dragon Blade. Isn't going to find anything. Daydream adding to her kill count. Just saying, it proves why she's at the top of the leaderboard for damage, as Boise State is going to take the game, beating Minnesota 3-0.
3-0 for the Broncos. Play of the game. It's not going to be a triple on Strider. You can only have it so many times, but yeah, I really did like this coming out from the Broncos because the pressure that we got from Minnesota rather early on, you were talking about it. They knew how to focus target and put the Broncos on the back foot. A lot of those first attacks that came out of Minnesota were very troubling for the Broncos, but when Broncos are in trouble, they know how to adapt, they know how to adjust, and they know how to fight back. And after that, the game was pretty much pushed single-handedly by none other than all 5 of them. So pentahandedly.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, very good. It was a very good game. Good game to both teams. Boise State, I would like to point out, especially in that last one, they were able to really pivot. They saw Slick Rhodes as getting dove incredibly hard for the entire game. Oh, we got something special.
So we're going to play one more map with Minnesota.
Oh.
Oh,
yeah! We get to see the new heroes, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Let's get the formalities out of the way first, and that's our sponsors, Idaho National Guard, Air National Guard, excuse me. What if you could pursue college or your dream career while serving your country and getting amazing benefits? The Idaho Air National Guard, just 1 weekend a month, 8 months out of the year, you'll get tuition assistance, signing bonuses, health care, 0 down home loans, and high-tech job training, all while keeping your civilian life, job, and goals right here in Idaho. Whether you're studying, working, or building your future, Guard enhances it all while giving you leadership skills and lifelong connections. Are you ready to have it all? The Idaho Air National Guard is your pathway to education, career success, and purpose. And I'm ready to have all the heroes, man. We got the new ones that are going to be coming up in a show match. Bryce, are you excited?
Yeah. I am very excited. I've seen a lot of these characters being played by some of the professionals during the testing period that happened about a week ago. I saw a lot of really good play out of them, and I feel like these characters really mesh well with each other. So running them all together in a 5-man brick is a very interesting thing. You got characters like Mizuki, the one with the hat. He can throw his hat around. He's really good at crowd burst healing. You obviously have Jetpack Cat.
Jetpack Cat,
Jetpack Cat, the goat. I mean, he's not a goat. He's a cat.
Cat on Jetpack.
Yep, Cat on Jetpack. He's a very interesting character that I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the coming weeks when he's available for everybody to use. But in this show match, we got Daydream, who's probably going to be playing Jetpack Cat if I know her, and through anecdotal evidence from other players, she is quite fond of Jetpack Cat. It'll be interesting to see who ends up playing the 2 DPS. You got Amir and I'm blanking on her name. Oh, what is her name? I can't remember her name. Oh.
I didn't have to be prepared for this until next week.
What's the fire lady's name? The one who went to fire college. Anran, that's who it is. Thank you. I appreciate it. You got Anran and Emir. I can always remember Emir. I can never remember Anran. And then you obviously have Domina, the new tank. My personal favorite. Love playing her. A little bit overtuned, if you ask me, but hey, that's what the emergency hotfix is for.
Oh, man. Shout out to Slick Rhodes, by the way, clutching that out for us.
Thank you.
We weren't expecting these characters until next week against Syracuse, so it's great to see that we get to have a match with it. But Slick Rhodes, hey, he stepped up when Maxwell was sick, had a pretty good performance on top of it. If you ever want to check him out, he does do Valorant tomorrow.
Yes, he does Valorant
on Wednesdays, so always here for the Broncos, Boise State.
Are we playing a 2CP map as well? Ooh, okay. Really bringing back a blast from the past. 2CP hasn't been in the map pool for a while now, but for those of you who don't know, 2CP is somewhat like Control Point, where you capture 2 points instead of just the 1, and it functions similar to the attack-defense thing. It's a very interesting way to play. A lot of people didn't like it as much. And, I felt like it had a bit of charm. It was a pretty good game, especially on a map like Volskaya Industries. This one, where it is very, very nice.
Yeah, I've pulled up the list of characters so we can see them, and
we cannot forget Anran's name.
Reference them. Anran, thank you very much. Jetpack Cat. It's funny because when I see the name Jetpack Cat, it's kind of the name I would expect the nickname to be, because in League of Legends, for example, there's Yumi, and we're just like cat on book. So I hear Jetpack Cat, and I'm like, okay, but what's the character's real name? Oh, it's Jetpack Cat.
So right now, you're actually going to see a really big thing out of Jetpack Cat. Jetpack Cat has a unique ability to tether another character. This is actually not done entirely by Jetpack Cat. It does have to be triggered by the person being grabbed, so it requires a lot of team play, but Daydream going to go down early to Veridity. One cat, unfortunately, has to take the claws from the other as Slick Roads on Emir is going to diff. What's his name? With the burst. Obviously has quite a bit of experience with the old Halo 3 burst rifle, as that is, honestly, that's just what I think of when I think of Emir's primary. Has to back off, wait for the tank to come through. You're starting to see Domina start to push up from the side of Minnesota. You got BP0 playing a little bit of the new character, using the Jetpack Cat's tether to really just try to get away. Honestly, Domina has one of my personal favorite shields in the game. I love the idea of a somewhat a partially breakable shield. Strider is going to use the repulse ability on BP0, which actually does more damage if they hit a wall, which is so fun to do. And there's even a major perk that allows you to push people into your shield and do that damage anyway. You got Slick Roads over here on Emir looking to do a bit more damage with the burst rifle and really just laying down the hurt as Veridity is once again going to put the scratch on Daydream.
Do we got all new characters being played?
We have all new characters being played.
I just realized that. That's incredible.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a cool thing that they did.
Yeah.
Make it so you can play an entire team of the new characters. Slick Roads is going to go down to BP0 with the area denial ability. That is, I gotta say, I could gush about Domina all day long. I love how she plays. She is so fun. In fact, she tops Sigma as my personal favorite character, which is really hard to do. I love a bit of Sigma, but Vykovs is actually going to go down to Strider. Just trying to get away. Daydream has to back out as Clear goes down incredibly low, but Rafa on Mizuki is just going to run circles around everybody.
If our observers can ever get a glimpse of Daydream's skin, I know she was super excited about Jetpack Cat and actually pulling out the skin. But yeah, there we go.
We got Top Gun Jetpack Cat before GTA 6.
Shout out to the observers. Always got to love the production here at Boise State Esports. But here we continue a little bit more.
I don't want you.
I'm not going to get used to these sounds, man. It's going to be so entertaining.
I feel like it's so much more entertaining than... I love how Wrecking Ball has the ability to... Oh no! BP0 with a bit of animal abuse is going to take him down, but no! The ability is going to take Strider off the map! Veridity with the cat's meow. Oh man.
It's the catnapper.
I think Veridity has found his calling on the cat. I mean, he's just been putting on a clinic as Slick Roads, showing off a little bit of Emir action as well. His ultimate is really unique. It has two different modes of fire. You have the fast rounds, you have the slow ones that do more damage. Clear going to go in with the dive and his ultimate as well. Clear getting a double, actually. Strider coming in for Vykovs. That cookie is not going to be found uncrumbled as he's going to die again. Actually, something to note about Onron. While I may not remember her name all the time, I do remember what her ultimate does. She can do one of two things. She can either do a really large dive and do a lot of damage, or she can come back from the dead. Mizuki using his ultimate, which is almost like a barrier that prevents a lot of projectiles from coming in. And we're seeing Domina's ultimate as well. I'm trying to explain these new abilities, but they're coming in so quick as BP0, Veridity, both going to just clean house on Boise State's offense, but still with 3 minutes left, still a whole lot of time to really get things done.
Yeah, I echo what you were saying earlier. Veridity kind of finding the calling on the Jetpack Cat, looking pretty tremendous on it so far, and you can see right now that ultimate, that catnapper, to be available. That should be a lot of fun to see that used. Let's see if the Broncos can actually fight back against this and not get swiped away by the Jetpack Cat. Now jumping forward, Daydream to try and survive this onslaught from Minnesota, going a little too
Oh, there we go.
Strider and Slick.
Veridity.
But Veridity will go down. It's Lyric who grabs that kill. What's his name? Returns it right back on to Lyric. Now looking to capture the point will be Boise State.
Yep, it does look like the Mizuki trying to get into there. Veridity not going to quite find much as Rafa's going to go down early. Daydream does actually go down in the process. Veridity finding Slick Roads. Strider finding one. Veridity finding a third. The cat is going crazy. This cat is rabid.
What is going on? Oh my goodness. Rabies shot? Did we get that on Veridity? I don't know, man, because this is absolute violence coming out from this cat. Kind of reminds me of the first cat I ever had. Every time I would try and scratch its belly, it would just eviscerate my arm and leave it completely clawed and scarred.
Yeah, I had a cat like that as well. He was an interesting character, but what's his name? Going down low, he's going to go down entirely. Slick Rhodes is going to be the one to take him down. You're starting to see that that versatility of the Domina shield really come through. Just being able to put something on slightly on the point, but able to give up quite a bit of cover as well. And that full capture is going to come through. Boise State going to full cap on Volskaya Industries, a map we don't get to see a whole lot of. But just like this show match, I am so glad it is here. Boise State actually taking the game with the new characters. Please get Jetpack Cat to play the game. Let's go.
It should have been Daydream, but hey, you know what? We'll take it. Is this the catnap?
I don't think this was the
series of kills that happened towards the end. Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, that purr ability you see, which is the healing and boop ability that Jetpack Cat has. It not only does healing in a circle, it also bounces. If you take the major perk 2, it will deal damage over time as well as healing. Jetpack Cat, I feel like out of all 5 of the new characters, the 2 that really stand out to me are Domina and Jetpack Cat. And that's not just my bias for Domina, that is genuine. Jetpack Cat has so many different abilities that can be used for team play. Not to, like, the sheer versatility of the tether ability is huge. I've seen it used to carry bastions across enemy lines, like an AC-130. It's crazy what you can do with Jetpack Cat's tether, not to mention how mobile it is. In fact, Jetpack Cat is the first fully mobile aerial character in the game. We saw a lot of it out of Marvel Rivals earlier last year with characters like Angela and Storm. For any of you who keep up with the Marvel Rivals stuff, I do a lot. But it's the first time we've seen out of Overwatch somebody that is completely aerial mobile. You could sort of argue it with Pharah, but personally, you got to manage fuel. That doesn't count. But I feel like we are going to see a lot of interesting applications of Jetpack Cat moving forward, and I cannot wait to see how it goes next week once these characters are made available.
That's what I wanted to allude to right now, is Syracuse is going to be next week, and that's when all these characters are going to be legal, so we could see a lot more of Jetpack Cat of Domina, your 2 personal favorites right there. I'm just going to stick with Jetpack Cat, honestly.
I like Jetpack Cat. I can't get my head around him, personally, playing him.
I'm excited to see how quickly that some of these players, both on the Broncos side and the Orange side for Syracuse, can adapt and hopefully bring these out so we can have a lot of fun when that game comes up, because, again, that's going to be one of our final games in the top 4, and I'm definitely dying to see it. I'm excited to see what this new season of Overwatch will bring and how it will shake up the PEC. But off of that note, we do have to close up, at least for right now. We are going to take a moment to throw over a short break. When we return, we'll have an interview with one of the players from our Boise State Broncos, and then soon after that, we also got Air Force with Mountain West. So more Overwatch action and a little bit of conversations to be had. We'll be right back. As we push forward. On the sword. Oh, 2! The back kills coming out from Slick Rose. He's going to put on his own highlight reel.
Boise State line. Still going to stay alive. I don't know how, but what's his name really just showing off what he can do.
That was a hell of a chase on the clear. They eventually do take Minnesota, starting to find a little bit of ground going into their favor stretch. As we go into overtime, only one remains as BPO fights tooth and nail for a last stand, but he can stand no more. Boise State will stop.
I want to huge props to Hex for that final fight.
Underrated recruit has built himself into one of the best defensive players in the Mountain West.
What would you do if you couldn't fail? Would you see every setback as a catalyst to keep going? This is the innovator's mindset, because innovation demands daring. Is finding thousands of ways that don't work, and the one that changes everything. It's when your unrelenting spirit sees the world's needs and says, I will create something better. So, what will you do? Will you let your genius run wild? Give yourself the space to be great? Set your sights on something even bigger, because we know changing the world doesn't happen by chance. It comes out of the blue.
it look so far?
Great.
Comfortable?
Yes.
Times and places all in who you share them with. Joy,
I got in.
who you share it with.
This is a great use of your home equity.
Who you share it with. Hallelujah, hey, Jubilee. I got a feeling that it's moving to my feet. Take a picture, would you look at me now? Something outside so that everyone can see.
Now earn up to 4 times the rewards with the ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card. It's the credit card from the credit union you love.
My friends know me as Derek, but I'm also Master Sergeant Raxter. This is my life in the Air National Guard.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention please. About to start the show. Better take your seats. It's time to let the curtain rise. We're gonna shake the room. We're gonna honor.
Now earn up to 4 times the rewards with the ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card. It's the credit card from the credit union you love.
Since you guys have been in here, some things have changed. We've updated this place to be in its final form. New cabinets, new counters, all sorts of new stuff in here. This has turned into a place that wouldn't look out of place at an SEC or Big Ten football facility, and Dairy West has allowed us to have it here. We've taken a holistic approach to our player nutrition, and we're really thankful that Dairy West has made sure that our fueling station is the best in college esports and really at industry standard for any college athletic department.